At this point, you've completed all the note values. Most of them you're supposed to do at least at 100 BPM. There's a few of them that you can do at 80 or 90 or something like that. But hopefully you've completed all of them and you have a good understanding of how they look as well as how they sound. And how they sound, that is what we're going to be testing right now. So here's how it's going to work. I'm going to play you a pattern for 4 bars at a tempo of 70 beats per minute. Okay? And it's just going to be a simple pattern on the snare drum. Out of that, I want you to pick out the pattern just by listening to it and write down the answer on your worksheet. We have 20 of these questions to go through, and this isn't a test, it's a progress report, and it's something that's really going to help you determine, do you know these note values? Because moving forward through the rest of the tools in this package, it is absolutely essential that within your drumming foundation, within your trunk of that tree, you have a solid foundation of all the note values. Okay? With that said, let's go to question number 1. So if you wrote down 16th notes, you're correct. Good job. Let's move on to number 2. The answer to number 2 is quarter notes. On to number 3. Those were 16th note triplets, just 6 notes per quarter note. Let's move on to number 4. The answer to number 4 is 8th notes. So if you guessed that correctly, congrats. Let's move on to number 5. I was playing 8th note triplets there. Let's move on to number 6. Those were quarter note triplets, and there's 6 quarter note triplets in 1 bar, a 4/4. Let's move on to number 7. There, I was playing 32nd notes. Now, in the next few exercises, there's going to be 2 note values to guess, not just 1. So listen closely, as you only have 4 bars to kind of pick out these 2 note values. So here we go with number 8. There I was playing 16th notes followed by 2 quarter notes. Let's move on to number 9. In number 9, I was playing 2 beats of straight 8th notes, and then 2 beats of 8th note triplets. Now let's move on to number 10. In number 10, I was playing 2 beats of 32nd notes followed by 2 beats of 8th note triplets. Now let's move on to number 11. In that exercise, I was playing 2 beats of 16th note triplets followed by 2 beats of 8th note triplets. Now let's move on to number 12. In number 12, I was playing 2 beats of quarter note triplets, which is 3 quarter note triplets, and then 2 beats of 8th notes, which is 4 notes. Now let's move on to number 13. In number 13, I was playing 2 beats of 16th notes followed by 2 beats of 16th note triplets. Now let's move on to number 14. In that exercise, I was actually playing 3 beats of 8th note triplets, followed by 1 count of straight 16th notes. Now let's move on to the next one. So that one was 2 counts of 16th note triplets followed by 2 counts of 32nd notes. Now, in the rest of the exercises, I'm going to be playing either 3 or 4 note values. And you only have 4 bars to figure out what they are. So once you know them, write them down in your worksheet, and hopefully you get it correct. Let's move on. In number 16, I played a quarter note, followed by 3 8th note triplets, and then 2 counts of quarter note triplets, which works out to 3 quarter note triplets. I know it's a challenging one, but hopefully you got it. Let's move on to number 17. There I was playing one count of 16th notes, one count of 32nd notes, then a count of 16th note triplets, then a quarter note. So 4 different note values within that one bar. Now let's move on to the next one. There I was playing one count of a quarter note, one count of 8th note triplets, one count of 16th notes, and then one count of 16th note triplets. Now let's move on to number 19. In that one, I was playing one count of 8th notes, one count of 32nd notes, and then 2 counts of 16th notes. So there was only 3 different note values in that exercise. Let's move on to the final exercise, number 20. In that exercise, I was playing, on the first count, I was playing 16th notes. Then I went to 2 counts of quarter note triplets, and then ended off with 1 count of 32nd notes. And that's the end of the Note Values Progress Report. Hopefully you scored well, and you're on your way to building a very, very solid foundation for your drumming. Now, if you didn't score well, it'd be great if you could just go back, study some of the note values again, really, really listen for how every note value is relating to the quarter note, then come back and do this test again and see how you score. I'm sure you'll do better every single time.